So I was at yesterday's masterclass, and in many regards, there are a lot of similitudes, parallels, and connective tissues between you and Agnes. I wasn't thinking that at the onset, but not only your approach to cinema creatively, but both of you didn't ask for permission for a seat at the table. But in many ways, you had to build the table. You had to build the chairs around the table. You had to create an infrastructure. You had to create an ecosystem. So what I wanted to do in this interview is I wanted to look back at 3 or 4 yes moments in your filmography. I'm going to go back to 2012. U.S. Dramatic Sundance jury, Lynn Shelton was among the 5 jurors. She acknowledges that the filmmaker of Middle of Nowhere did something great. That person has an eye. How many times do you reference the moment that you received that call from Sundance saying, yes, we want you in the U.S. Dramatic competition? How does that look like today, that yes? Because it's the first, maybe one of the first moments where you're included in a club, where you're part of a family. What did it mean for you then? And do you look back on that and saying, oh, this had some weight to how I approach cinema today?
Thanks for the thoughtful question. I don't often think about the moment I got the call. I think about the end moment when Lynn called my name, which was such a special moment for me because I loved her. And I said, it was such a full circle moment because I had referenced her in my own mind as someone that I wanted to be like because she made a film a year at that time. She was making a small film
scrappy
every year, super scrappy in a way that I thought, oh, I could pull together some resources and do that. And she wasn't crazy famous. She had a cult-like following on the film festival circuit. I thought, what a great life. I'm going to continue to be a publicist and I can make these films. I'll pull my men together, I'll make a film. I may not be able to make it every year, but then I'll get to go to all these film festivals, and that's a great life. And so, because I couldn't see how to make a living from movies at that time. I couldn't look at a black woman who was consistently making films and TV and doing all the things. So I never wanted to do it because I just didn't think of it. I just thought I could be like a black kind of mini Lynn. That's what I was thinking.
And in some regards, Lynn made I Will Follow size budget films like 3-4 times in a row.
Every year.
Yeah.
And so I thought I could do that. And so I Will Follow directly came from looking at the films Lynn made. And I even saw an interview somewhere where she said, try to keep the locations contained. When I didn't know how to make a movie. So I Will Follow all took place in one location. So the moment where she hands it to me is a huge deal, and she was always so kind to me, and it was that's what I think of when I think of Sundance, but I rarely think of Sherry Freelow, and that call, because I had applied 7 times before to the various labs, to the incubator programs. I had applied with I Will Follow, I had applied with This Is the Life, my documentary, and had never gotten in, and so to get that call from her, to say you're in dramatic competition, I haven't thought about that moment.
And it's worth saying that when you get selected in U.S. Dramatic, it's 10, 12 films out of the submission is like
crazy
1,000 plus.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Absolutely.
Another yes moment for you is...
I miss those Sundance days.
You'll come back in some capacity, but it needs to change. That could be a longer conversation. 180 Glendale Boulevard, California. It houses a distribution company. It's an incubator, film education, community building. I want to go back to the moment where you first signed a property lease and you said yes to what would be a long-term engagement. But it's symbolic of you wearing many, many hats. And when you look back at what signing that property deal might have been like, what are you most surprised about how that space is used for today?
First of all, I'm so moved by the thoughtful question. Thank you so much. I never get questions like this. It's really nice. It was a big risk. I'd been doing that community work around cinema for about 5 years. But it was when I made a Wrinkle in Time and I had a bigger check that I thought, why don't I try to really put some architecture around the ideas? And a lot of it came from Sundance. It was seeing what Mr. Redford did. It was saying, I have this idea. It's going to require space. I have to buy this space. I have to say, we are here. I looked at Haile Gerima, Ethiopian filmmaker, who's a great inspiration to me, who had a bookstore and a cafe with editing suites at the bottom in Washington, D.C. I look at even JJ with Bad Robot to say, no, I'm not going to be in a studio lot. I'm here. This is where I work and where I do my thing. So it's really about space and kind of a liberated territory, and that's what I was going in with. And so it was a lot of money put on that space, but I thought there's any way to invest it, a property that will have meaning to me would be a good use of that money. And I didn't really think about the long-term nature.
The
of
open
it.
doors aspect of it, right?
Open doors. I did not think at that point. I hadn't thought through what our process would be to open to the public. Now, I mean, we have year-round public programming. Everything's always free. We weren't a nonprofit at the time. It was all coming out of personal money that I was making. Now there are grants for public programming, education programs, environmental justice programs. It's to put down the roots and say, this is the space, has allowed that to be a soil for things that grew that weren't imagined. So I think that, yes, it's really, really kind of you to invite me to think about the yes, open the doors to everything else that's happening.
Really had a snowball effect, yes.
Yeah, you have to say yes. Sometimes if you don't even know where it's going to lead.
So I was at the Venice world premiere screening for a film called Origin. And I'll take you to a moment where, so I'm an avid follower of the trades, and I remember seeing your name. Remember rereading the fact that I saw the word non-fic book. And I said, like, what a monumental task to try to adapt nonfiction. It's just never done. So I wanted to get a sense of the yes that you gave yourself, the permission to tackle something, a person's life, but also history. And the second yes moment is for you to, I loved what you said yesterday about the water bottle tour, rejecting what normally would be the way to proceed to finance a film, but also saying, no, I'm going to go about it a different way. So giving yourself permission times two on those aspects, from a business aspect, from also a creative aspect. How did that come about? How does that look like?
Yeah, no, thank you. I think the times when I've been most successful are the times when I've taken some kind of risk like that. So it's become, I've become more comfortable stepping into things I don't know. I remember Origin, that book really scared me. Cast, the book, really scared me. But I knew that I didn't want to make a documentary of it. Because I was reading the book, it was very emotional. And the way to draw out emotion is through actors. That's the way that I know to most powerfully do that. That's when I feel in my gut the reflection of my humanity through a great actor. Because I wanted to convey more than information. There's a lot of information on the book, but the emotion of what cast is and what it does to people, I thought was would be most vibrant with a human face. And so so giving myself permission to do that while scary, I felt like I knew I could figure it out. The marketing, the financing of it was really...
You said moving train yesterday.
Yeah, there's no way those were going to be yeses. I was going to get yeses to make a movie about cats. I just knew, I know my industry. You know what I mean? It would be one of those things where people say, yeah, I worked on it for 7 years. You know, that story, like, yeah, we worked on this project for 9 years. I didn't want to spend that long. I knew if I wanted to make it right away, we just had to begin. So we got the first money and we greenlit ourselves. It's a very scary process because you only have enough money to last you for 3 weeks. And you're hoping that by the time you get to the end of that 3 weeks, there'll be some more. And but what I've learned is by saying we're prepping. Where are you? I'm in Berlin. Oh, what are you doing? I'm prepping. Do you want to see our pictures, our location scout from the, and so folks are like, oh wow, this is
It's a moving PDF file.
Train.
Yeah.
moving PDF. There are things moving on this. So I just said people want to get on a moving train. They don't want to stay on the platform and wait for the train that's coming. The train that's coming may be fully loaded with food and the luxury. But do you wait for that, or do you get on the one that's going to get you there faster? So I went for the moving train philosophy, and we were able to get there.
I think I'm going to make T-shirts that says, I greenlit myself.
That's pretty good.
Ava, thank you so much for your cinema. Thank you for Origin. Thank you for your time. And
Thanks for the great interview and the thoughtful
nice
questions.
seeing you again, Ava. Thank you so much.
This
It's Eric from IONCINEMA.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.